What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing a roof lining removal tutorial. As you can see, I've already done mine a little while ago. I did it in black. There's nothing wrong with the old one. I just wanted something a bit nicer. You see a lot of these modern cars where the whole roof's black and pillar trims are black, etc. I think it looks really cool. So I decided to do that on this one. Painted pillar trims black, vinyl paint. I am going to remove them eventually and wrap them in the same material as the roof, just to make it look a little bit nicer, because it looks quite, the difference between you got matte panels down there and you got shiny panels there, and then a matte roof just doesn't quite look really good in my opinion. But I mean, it's much better than it was, that ugly grey. So we're going to take the roof lining out, do the sound deadening onto the roof. So in today's video, I'll show you the best way to remove the roof lining, best way to do the sound deadening, then put everything back together again, and should be a lot better, a lot nicer sounding inside once everything goes back together. Testing out some new equipment today, got a new gimbal, so hopefully things are a little bit nicer than the last one. We'll see how that works out. All right, on to see what the roof sounds like currently without any sound deadening. Right, hopefully that rain isn't coming through very well. It's a pretty crappy day for weather in Melbourne. It was very hot yesterday, and now it's raining today. Anyway, let's see what this sounds like. Oh yeah, that's horrible. Very tinny. Very tinny. It's going to make that much better once we're finished. Right, onto the tools we're going to need for today. Pretty basic tools for this one. I've got my rattle gun, got a 17mm on it for the seatbelt bolts. Just a normal drill with a Phillips head on the end. Take out the screws. Screwdriver, just if you want to be lazy. Measuring tape to measure out the sound deadener. A trim popping tool, a little mini plastic crowbar. A knife for cutting the sound deadener. And obviously the sound deadener. And a roller. I'll put links in the description for the sound deadener and Zito tools. I mean, I'm just doing this in my garage. I'm a window tinner by trade, so I don't really need them, but they're helpful in working on cars. So it's a pretty cheap range of tools. I've had them for a few years now. They've never failed me. So, I mean, I recommend them to a DIYer. And obviously I just, little magnetic tray to put my screws and bolts and whatnot in. You don't have to use one of them. I just like using it because, it's mad. All right, on to getting everything down. Start on the roof liner with the grab handles. So starting on the driver's side, grab handles, 2 screws either side. We got the seat belt there, which if you saw my tutorial on how to remove this panel here, you'll know that's part of one of the steps, so it's super simple and easy on that one. Same with this one here. Got one bolt in there. These plastic trims come off, so we'll start with these 2 grab handles up here. There we go. So these, you just move the ends, that slides in, pop the end, slides in from both sides, and then you got one Phillips head either side. So I'll do with that one and then this one over here. Then I'll take these bolts out and show you the best way to remove these trims here, because it can be a little bit tricky. So we've got the seatbelt bolts out on both sides. And pan. Over there, those 2. So we're going to pop these pillar trims down and separate it from the roof lining. Okay, so we've got that bolt out and we've got the screws out for the grab handles, and this bit just pops back like that. It's not really held in by much. Sometimes it can be held in a little bit by this rubber here. You just pull that out of the way, and then that's enough room to sort of get the roof liner out. It's a good idea to leave it sitting there, because once all of the screws and whatnot are out, the roof lining will have a tendency to drop. So leaving it on like that will help it sort of stay there and not just fall and flap around. So we'll do the interior light. It's not on at the moment because I leave the car's battery disconnected while it's just sitting here. So grab your little trim tool. You've got to be careful to get it in between the cover There's another plastic piece that the cover sits on. So you don't want to just get under this plastic here because you'll break it. Let's see if I can get in there. So it's kind of, there's two bits of plastic. So you kind of got to get it in between and it just pops off like that. So you've got 2 screws under there that we need to take out. And then we can move on to the revision mirror and the sun visors. That's what they're called. So obviously once you take these 2 screws out that are holding in the interior light, there's just one plug. You just got to squeeze this little fella there and then push. A bit hard to do one-handed. Ready? And then just comes out like that. So it's a one-way plug. It'll only go back in one way, so you can't connect it wrong. So now we'll go on to the rest. To the rear vision mirror. So obviously the best way to do this one, just remove this cover. It just pops off. You got 3 screws in there. And as for the sun visor, very simple and easy. You got 1 screw over here and 2 screws over here. So I will take all of these screws out and then we will do the front pillar trims. These ones here. I'll show you the best way to remove them. Then we'll do the rest of the bolts and then I'll show you the last step. So we've got the rear vision mirror out and the sun visors out. Now we need to get this front pillar trim off. So this is where it's very handy if you pull this rubber down. This is one of those trims that gets held in just simply by that. So I'll grab my tool, just get that under there, let's give it a pop. So as you can see, you got this little, I don't know what you call it, plug here, and on the pillar trim you got this little knuckle. We won't mention what that looks like. Little knuckle that sits into there and pops into there. So you can see it's still kind of sitting there now, even though there's nothing holding it in, but that plug is actually holding it in. So with these front pillar trims, once you pop them like this, just give them a bit of a jiggle and they come straight out. That's all they really are. And they just sit in there. So I'll do the one on the other side, and then we'll go around the back and I'll show you actually how to take it out properly. These rear trims here can be quite difficult to get out. Best way to do it, again, pull this rubber. You'll need to do this part anyway, all the way across, like that. You get in there, and it's just a case of getting your tool, just kind of prying it like that. So it's similar to the front. There's little knuckles, but they've also got these metal clips too. So now the whole roof lining is kind of just sitting there. Now also, because I redid it, there's still a little bit of adhesive on the underside, which I noticed. So it's kind of helping it stay there. So the last step is you've got this little weather strip here. You pull that out all the way along. And now there's nothing really holding your roof lining up. So you can just gently sort of give it a bit of a pull. We're still stuck over in this corner. So that's the plug is up in this corner here. So similar to the front, which the gimbal actually turns. That little white knuckle that I pointed to before, it's a bit hard to see, just up in here. So if you get your pry tool, kind of got to get a lot easier with one hand, obviously. I mean with 2, not 1. That doesn't want to go. Let me get something a bit stronger. Off a decent flat blade screwdriver. We just get in under, pop it out like that. So we'll just double check the other side. Over here. Yep, that one's off. So we'll go here in the middle. We've got one more plug right over there. You see it? Let's see if I can get the zoom to work. One more knuckle over there. And we'll take that out, and then it should just fall down. Also, another trick too, you get your seats, the front seats, and fold them kind of where a bit half and half, one forward, one down, so that when it drops, it's got less like travel distance. It'll just sort of sit there, and then you can pull it out. Okay, so I moved that out of the way over there. That's out of the way, so it's all, as you can see, it's all like separated from the roof. So now we've just got to try and get it out one-handed, which may not be as easy as it seems. But basically, you just gently pull it out. Making sure, oh, there we go, and it's out. Like that. It's really hard to see, the camera's okay, and I'm just going to chuck it up on the roof. And I dropped it. Try again. There we go. Oh, that would have been easy two-handed. But anyway. And down, not up. So that's it. All out. So if we look in here, that's the roof lining. So there was some, I don't know what you'd call it, some insulation that was sort of around this area here, I guess, to keep the heat off the driver and the passenger, because let's not worry about the rear passengers. But anyway, that's it. So what we'll do is we'll give it a wipe down, make sure there's no residue or anything like that left on it, because we've got some tape. I think that was from the insulation or whatever was up there, which I forgot to put back on when I redid the roof lining. I've been meaning to put it back on, but now I've got sound deadener, it doesn't matter. So we'll obviously do the sound deadening on these spaces here, and obviously not on the ribs. All right, so I'll jump in and give that a clean and start marking up the sizes, because you can see in the back there that panel's quite wide. Then you've got two smaller ones and another big one over here. So I might do sort of, 1, 2, so we got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, so we got 8 pieces altogether, so should be sweet. So I'll jump in and give that a clean, and then I'll come back and we'll measure up and start putting it on. Mention while I'm in here, gave him these panels a nice bit of a wipe down now. Apparently it's quite common for these GTIs to rust inside these ribs. I've seen a couple of photos of a couple of guys on the Facebook group mention about it, and thankfully mine does not have that rust. I don't know what causes it, but if you're playing along at home and doing this yourself, it's a really good idea to check it out. And obviously if you do have rust, then you want to get that at least treated, and hopefully it's not super detrimental and it doesn't cause massive issues to your car. So yeah, hopefully you're all sweet. I'm all good. Panels are all nice and clean now, so I can start measuring and cutting up the sound deadener. The thing to have on hand that's really handy, obviously, is a marker, so you can mark out where you need. So it turns out my roof is about 96 or 960 millimeters wide. So that in half is roughly 480 or 48 centimeters. And these panels are exactly 48 centimeters wide. So I can get, this section will be one side, and then I can get another section in the middle. So one sheet should do each, in between each rib, basically. But because it's sort of off center as well, the side closest to the outside of the door is about 25, and then right in the middle it is about 29 or 290. So I've drawn myself a lovely line all the way across, freehand, should fit mint. Then I'll get my knife and I'll cut along there, and then go chuck it on the inside. So thankfully that's worked out really well. It's not going to look all weird. You're just basically going to have 2 pieces per section in between the ribs. Not that anyone's going to see it, but it'll look nice, and I'll know it's there, and well, you guys will too. So I'll cut that out and chuck that on, and we'll come back. So that's that front section done there. So I ended up gapping it a little bit more over this side by accident, because it's very hard, because once you take that white paper lining off, it does actually become quite flimsy. It loses its rigidity, so it's a little bit hard to sort of line up while you're trying to, two-hand make sure it's all lined up properly, which made this side about the same, quite nice. It did overlap a little bit here in the middle. I just ran that roller across it a few times, and then very gently ran my knife down it. One thing I will say though, with any kind of sort of roof lining, not roof lining, sound deadening. It is basically like an aluminium sheet. So if you get a little sort of bit that you've miscut, say, you cut down and then you do another cut and it leaves like a sliver there, you run your hand across that, you will cut yourself and it will be worse than a paper cut. One, because it'll be quite blunt and it'll more sort of tear your skin rather than cut it. As well as these edges here. Dave down at Roof Rack and Box recommended I use like a welding glove type thing to smooth it out with my hand. Although I am avoiding that as much as possible and just using the roller where I can. So that's that first panel done. Thankfully, these next two panels are quite uniform, so I can just sort of, I'll measure this distance, and then it'll be by half, and then I'll put those on, and then these ones, and then we'll come back. So we get around this wire here. All right, cool. We're back soon. So that's all done. It was going really well. Hopefully the time lapse that I did works out too. I'll add that in. But doing this last panel, this sort of section over here, one of the screws in the roller came out. So the last sort of 5% of it didn't work very well, so I had to go back in and go back over it again once I'd found the screw and put it back in. No fault of the roller itself, it's just came loose. Probably should have tightened it before I started using it. But that's it. All the sound deadening's done. Only really ended up using 2 pieces out of that box. So if I come over here and show you. So I had this offcut, which I got either side of this was the last panel, and then was that. So basically out of the 2 sheets, which I said in one of my other videos, these sheets come in approximately 77 centimeters by 47 centimeters. And so this is the 47. So I could just measured the front half. The front was 25 in the front and 29 in the back. So I just, measured 25, 29, drew a line, cut that off, and then that was one half. And then I just reversed it for the other side. So then the other side was 25 and 29 for the driver's side. And then put them up. Did have to trim each one in the middle though, but only probably, maybe 2 centimeters. So the whole roof, for those playing at home, the whole roof, you need, just shy of 2 full panels to do the whole thing, which is really good considering this box has 10 of those sheets in it. So, I still have 8 sheets in here. Because if anybody saw my other video where I did the sound deadening in this panel here, nice and strong, that was basically I got that side, and then all the offcuts left from that one sheet I'll be able to do the other side as well. So effectively I've done both of these panels and the entire roof for 2 sheets. So when you consider it's like $130 for this whole box, you could effectively do probably this entire car, roof, inside of these panels, the outside of these panels, like, in between the plastic and the metal, the door trims as well. These have also been done by the previous owner in the same stuff that was in the back there, but just on the inside, like the panel behind the door trim. So I will eventually take them off, probably do a tutorial video, the best way to take these door trims off too. And then take the same thing I did in the back here, take the speaker out, maybe cut some holes in the pre-existing stuff and then put it all on the inside. So it does have a little bit there, but I want to do more. And then eventually I'll check underneath the seats too, because I don't know whether that's been done, but I've not really removed these seats yet to know. So the good thing is that, theoretically, one box you could do the doors, these panels, the roof, and the boot, like under the wheel well, even on the sides there as well, which would dramatically reduce road noise in these things. They are quite tinny. You would have heard the noise of me banging on the roof earlier with no sound deadening on. it was very tinny, and obviously now it will be nice and solid. Rain noise, road noise, even a little bit of insulation as well, so it'll be cooler inside the cabin. No, this doesn't have tint yet on it, because it's basically going to be one of the last things I'm going to do to the car before I get it registered. Last thing will basically be tyres, roadworthy, then tint. I'm going to keep everything nice and legal on this because I don't want to get pulled over and hassled all the time. But yeah, tint will be the last. It'll be way down the road. For those of you who don't know, I am getting this vehicle registered under historic registration when it hits 25 years old, because that is the requirement here in Victoria. Vehicles have got to be 25 years old. This is a 2021 plated car, October 21. Build date 2000. Compliance was April 2001. So I have to wait until April 2026 to put it on Club Reg, which is fine. It's currently December 2024. So once all this stuff's done, the suspension stuff, or it will be here hopefully this week. It left Malaysia Wednesday, Thursday last week. It arrived in the country on Friday. So hopefully I'll get that in the next couple of days. And then I can start working on that. And then the brakes to follow. Once that's all done, I can find out somewhere to get it painted, because obviously the paint on the bonnet's buggered, the roof's buggered, all the top surfaces from it sitting out in the sun for 4 or 5 years has just cooked it. And obviously there's some panel damage here and there, and a little bit on the passenger door there as well. So that'll all get done next year, and I'll obviously take you along for that sort of stuff. And hopefully I'll be able to find somewhere that'll help me, like let me do a lot of the prep work myself, and I can show you how to do that. And as you can see here, the clear's gone, and there's no clear coat left on the roof, and on the top of the spoiler here it's all gone. So I definitely want to get it resprayed next year. Then when it is eligible for club registration, she'll go straight on, and then we can start doing cruises and stuff, hopefully some meets, catch up with a lot of the other GTi guys, get some wicked rolling shots, that sort of stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling. So now the sound ending's done, I'm going to put this down and put the roof lining in, because you definitely need either 2 people or 2 hands at least. I'm going to put that back in, put all the screws back in, put the grab handles in, rear vision mirror, etc. Then we'll do a sound test. We'll do that same sort of tapping, and then I'll splice it together so you can see one and then the other. It'll make a massive difference, I'm sure. Anyway, again, I'm rambling, so I will stop and do that now. But all back in. All the grab handles are back on. All the trim pieces are back on. Seat belt's back in. Everything's back together. All nice. So here's an important thing to remember. When you remove a screw from something, you need to make sure you remember where it goes, because a lot of cars have different size screws for different fittings. So for instance, the one for the rear vision mirror, they're self-tappers, they're like tapered where the thread starts, whereas the ones for the sun visor are not. The ones for the interior light, they're not the long ones, they're the short ones. I made a very big mistake and didn't double check my screws. And this happened. I now have 2 perfectly screw-sized holes in my roof. I didn't see that until I got out of the car once everything had gone back together. Now, no big deal. It'll get fixed when I get the paint done. There are some dents here and there, like along here on the driver's side. Someone's obviously tried to break in at some point. Like there's a little sort of scratchy dent looking thing there. As I said earlier, one on the passenger door just there. That front quarter panel has been replaced at some stage, so it's been in a very small sort of front end accident at some particular point in its life. I'm pretty devastated that I've done that, which means the car can't get wet now, because water might get in under the roof and soak the roof lining. Pretty devoed. But yeah, at the end of the day, It's just another repair that's got to get done when the car gets painted. It is what it is. I stuffed up. I should have checked it. I didn't. I've sort of hammered them down a little bit because they were obviously quite sharp, and this, when I'm not working on it, gets covered by a car cover. I do have a cat that lives in here, and yeah, I don't want him crawling all over it, so I cover it when I'm not working on it. So it is what it is. Pretty disappointed with myself. Gave myself a good kick in the ass, but you know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is. Can't do anything about it now. It's ruined. But it can be fixed. So, yeah. Pretty devoed. On to the sound test, though. Let's move past it. Whatever. Let's give this tap test a go. Oh, listen to that. Solid. Much better. So we're all done. Hopefully now you know how to remove the roof lining on one of these, do the sound deadening on top. My other video goes over a bit of sound deadening as well, and there's plenty of videos on YouTube about it. So if you don't know how to do that, now you know how to do the roof lining and not put the incorrect screws in the wrong spots. Whatever, is what it is. Hopefully it's not ruined completely. We'll keep going. So hopefully that informs you a little bit better about what you need to do, what not to do, etc. That's it for me. I'll put links in the description down there, as I said, for the sound deadening and for the tools. Like I said, you can get them from Bunnings. I'll put it down there for my socials, some TikTok, Instagram, etc. Follow me on those. Hopefully I'll get to a head unit review this week. I want to do that for you guys. I've got a bunch of other episodes that I've got planned. So hopefully I'll get onto them in the next few days or the next week or two. It is getting close to Christmas, so I am pretty busy, but I'll do what I can where I can. Hopefully get some more content out. Thanks for watching, especially watching my fail. But yeah, talk to you later. Uru.